Welcome back to another episode of Talking Sports with Dan and Hay. My name is Hayden. I'm here with Dan Zielinski. Episode what? I don't even know. 8, 9, 12. Season 1? That's all I know. Season 1. It has been a few weeks and we have a lot to talk about. NBA playoffs, the baseball season finally ended the lockout. What do you want to go over first?
The draft is happening in a
Yep,
day
draft
as
NFL
well.
draft tomorrow. Packers will blow it, but that's another topic.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I was gonna say first, Bucks up 3-1 right now as we record this on the Bulls, about to be 4-1 here because they're blowing them out at the half. Um, I like their chances to get back to the finals. I think Boston won't be an easy series by any means. Tatum, Brown, both are playing well. Defensively, the Celtics have played well, but I really like the Bucks' chances overall to get back to the finals.
Yeah, I think this might be a case just like last season where the Bucks may end up playing the best team in the playoffs in the first or second round. Last year they ran into the Nets, barely squeezed out that series. Ultimately was their toughest test. I think the Celtics are again going to be probably the toughest test they're going to face, and I mean there's no bones about it. I mean second round in that conference you're going to play a tough opponent either way.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not as worried about the Heat. I mean, defensively, they're solid with Bam and
Well, they're no different
Jimmy
of a team than
Butler
they
and
were. It's the same team they
Tucker.
had last year. I mean,
Yeah,
so I don't
they're
see how it could be an issue again.
no. I mean, plus those guys are all older, so I feel like in a longer series, the Bucks can wear them down a little bit, especially if Chris Middleton comes back and actually plays well, because Grayson Allen has been coming on of late and playing well, so that gives them really fifth, sixth option scoring wise. So
Yeah, I
um,
mean, Chris is he definitely saved us in the playoffs last year and a few in the Nets series for sure. But I mean, his inconsistency is
it's
just
been bad.
it's it makes. I mean, he's obviously the third best player on the Bucks. That's no secret. But his inconsistency is what just really makes me distrust him. And losing him to an injury during the postseason early here doesn't really bother me too much as long as
No.
Grayson and everyone else steps up. Because if you think about it, Middleton's really just a solid spot up shooter and can pull up off the dribble. He's not going to power you to the basket. So
And I mean, I like Bobby Portis in any role, but he really has thrived in a starting role this year. So I like the energy he brings and kind of plays of Middleton right now in the starting lineup. Plus, Middleton was turning the ball over way too much those first two games. I think that was part of the reason why they lost those two games was Middleton and his turnovers. So, I mean, they've played really well without him. I think they kind of woke up a little bit too. The Bucks did this last year. They started off the postseason just really slow, kind of lazy basketball, and didn't really have any plan offensively. Kind of looked like the Panthers offensively, frankly. um, so, I mean, I think they're starting to click now, and it all is going to come down to Giannis and how he performs. I mean, I think they can win a game if Giannis has an off night, but an off series, an injury for Giannis, and obviously the Bucks have no chance.
yeah, I question how good of a coach Budenholzer actually is. I mean, he's obviously in the top half, but is he in the top 10 or top 5? I really don't know. I mean, he hasn't, I mean, the Bucks team with Holiday and Giannis, I mean, they're going to carry you to the majority of your victories already. So I think, he really needs to I guess step up on the inbounds plays on those small areas where you need kind of organization quickly. I think that's where he needs to really focus his attention because I mean, like you said, Giannis is probably you're going to depend heavily on him with all superstars.
I mean, Budenholzer's better than Jason Kidd. I mean, that's no
Well, yeah.
secret.
He also
Jason
doesn't have
Kidd.
the drama that Jason Kidd has to deal with either.
If Jason Kidd was still around, Giannis would still probably be a point guard, six man type player. Um, but Budenholzer, I think, has improved the team's defense. I think that's been clearly better since he's been around. But yeah, it's just their offense sometimes. Not the last couple games, but definitely the first two games just
With
gets too.
Middleton, effectively.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, it gets way too stagnant. They just, I don't know. It seems like they have no plan on offense sometimes. So Well, maybe they kind of figured that out and woke up. That's what they did last year when they kind of had their backs against the wall. They kind of woke up and started to play better just all around and consistency as well. So I don't know. I like their chances. I think they could easily repeat again this year. I mean, there's no one really in the West that scares me. Obviously, the Suns are a little bit banged up. I don't. The Warriors are good. They're not great.
That's probably the team that scares me the most. If Clay plays really well, that's the it's pretty much the old Warriors dynasty team back together. That's the one that I'm afraid of the most for sure.
What do you think of Jordan Poole with you being a
Yeah,
Michigan guy?
I mean, him getting drafted so high by them, there was a lot of like this is garbage, and like I
Yeah,
didn't really have anything to say about it because it's like, yeah, he was decent in college, but he wasn't like a stud. I mean, he never put up
no.
average 20. I don't even know if he averaged 15 a game, maybe like 14, 13. But he's kind of really blossomed into a real steal in the draft. I mean, at Curry's absence, he's pretty much Ben Curry.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're talking about this on TNT tonight before the Bucks game. What do you do with Jordan Poole if Steph Curry returns to the starting lineup? Do you put him in the starting lineup together, or do you bring them Jordan Poole off the bench? And I kind of like bringing Jordan Poole off the bench because he kind of adds that spark and firepower
I,
that you need. And I feel like if him and Steph Curry and Clay are all on the court at the same time, I think Poole's probably the one who's going to get lost a little bit or not as many touches as those other two guys. So,
I
I
would.
mean, I think.
I don't know. I disagree. I think Poole needs to start with Curry and Clay. 'Cause, I mean,
Thank you.
you have three of the best shooters. I mean, Poole, not maybe not one of the best, but the hottest shooters in
They
the
have no
NBA, all on
depth,
the
though.
top. Like it's gonna feel like the old Warriors team where it's like Curry can miss a three, and if Green gets a rebound, like there's no one that can't shoot. Like he just has to pass it to anybody, and you have a really good shot of making your next three, regardless if it's contested or not. So. I don't know why with how well he's playing. I mean, he's dropped 30 how many times? Why wouldn't you start him? I mean, I think he's earned that role.
I just don't think they have enough depth. I think if you can bring him off the bench and put him with the second unit, helps you out a little bit,
Yeah,
I
but do you
guess.
even play the second unit? I mean, you're in the playoffs at this point. Like,
That's true. You can have Andrew Wiggins in your second unit then.
I mean,
So,
I mean, there's absolutely no contest. Pool's better than Wiggins. I mean,
I
if the Bucks are playing them, I'd love them to start Wiggins so he can miss 10 more threes in the first quarter against us.
know.
But
Yeah.
like last time we watched them, I guess.
Are you worried about the Celtics having home court advantage? I don't think it really
The Bucks play
matters
well
that
on the
much.
road in general in the playoffs. I'm not too worried about that. I
No,
mean,
me either.
yeah, I'm really not worried about the Suns because they're trying not to blow it against the Pelicans, who are, I mean, they're besides Ingram, they're really bad. I
Is
mean,
CJ McCollum is CJ McCollum better than Chris Middleton?
I would say he is, yeah. But again,
Yeah,
that's kind of a loaded question because Chris Middleton is the third best player on a really good team. CJ McCollum is probably the best player on a team. So of course he's going to get more shots off and more touches than Middleton.
yeah, like Ingram.
But
But yeah,
McCollum's a
I get
point
what you're
guard.
saying.
Middleton is far from it. Middleton gets in trouble like he did in the first few games of this series when he tries to do too much. If he starts trying to like make, a couple cuts with the ball and try to drive to the rim, that's not his game. He needs to take, one or two solid, powerful forward dribbles and then pull up or do that little fadeaway he did all last year in the playoffs where he had so much success. The second starts trying to do too much is when he becomes a liability.
Exactly. No, I totally agree.
But it'll be interesting to see. I think the second round matchup to watch is for sure the Bucks Celtics. That's obviously the best matchup. I think most of the people, most of Vegas will predict the winner of that series probably as the favorite to win it all.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the West is the West is top heavy. The East has a lot of good quality teams, and I think like we've said, Boston's better than Miami, and I don't trust the 76ers with Harden. So it'll be a good matchup. I think it probably goes like 6 games. Maybe I could go 7 easily too, but I think the Bucks could get it done in 6.
Yeah, I mean I have like I would say it's a 50-50 shot. I mean the Celtics are a very similar team than the Bucks. They've got three
Yeah,
guys that are really solid, and then the rest are just role players that need to knock down shots.
Hmm.
So yeah, but on another note, the Brewers winning record so far. That's a positive. You know, with Craig Counsell being such a trash manager.
Stop.
But how do you feel so far about the start to their season? Is it where you thought they'd be? Are they worse off? Do you like where they're trending?
I mean, it's probably honestly where I thought, for the most part, I thought they were cheap in the off season and didn't really make any moves
You
to
thought or you knew
improve
they were cheap?
their offense sucks. I mean, Mark Antonaccio, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, he was raving about how they got Andrew McCutcheon, and sure, he's a fine
Who's
ball
their
player.
who is their best batting average? I lied. He doesn't have the best batting average. He's 1,000th behind Willie.
Willie Adonis is their best right now. I mean, Yelich, honestly, I think is headed in the right direction. He leads Major League Baseball in hard hit percentage, so I'm not too worried about him. But offensively, I mean, let's see. The Cubs have scored 85 runs. Brewers are at 68. Cardinals 72. Pirates 65. Um,
That's kind of where you expected them to be, though, as bottom, like the third quadrant.
yeah, I mean, they don't do anything to improve their offense. I think going to trade for Hunter Renfroe and Andrew McCutcheon, two guys who are good players, but nothing special, especially McCutcheon these days.
I don't even know if I'd
Um,
consider them good players. I would say they're slightly above average.
yeah, at
I mean,
best.
McCutcheon's 100 years old anyway, and I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
so like that's your solution to improving an offense that couldn't even hit last year. So like
This
for them to think,
feels, this has the feeling of the Ryan Braun Prince Fielder days when they were both aging really badly. When what's his name was still leading off, before Lorenzo Kane even, Hart.
yeah.
This has the feel of that where like you're just relying on these guys that used to be able to hit the baseball and can no longer do it, and they're
I
like
mean,
borderline in a wheelchair.
I mean, Lorenzo Kane already is. I would honestly bench Lorenzo Kane at this point and put Tyrone Taylor. And I think
What is his batting
worst
average? I
case,
haven't
I
even
mean, he
looked.
can't be any worse than Lorenzo Kane because Lorenzo Kane doesn't get on base. So, um, but I think the Brewers are fine overall because they have the pitching. They just need to go get another bat at some point here. Last year they did it pretty early. I want to say in May and got Adames from the Blue Jays, and I definitely could see the Brewers doing something like that.
And
There's
he's
some
probably
teams
their best
already
player.
that are out of it, like Cincinnati's out of it.
The problem is what do they even have to trade at this point for a good bat though, besides like money and picks or like prospects because
They got some options.
you
It's
can't
just a
touch the
matter of
pitching staff.
do you. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think you got to lock up Corbin Burns at this point. I want them to keep Woodruff long term, but can they afford to keep all five guys intact? But they're not going to trade any of those guys right now. But in terms of their farm system, they definitely have guys they're able to trade and enough talent to trade. It's just how much do they want to deplete their farm system, which to
For one
me,
bat.
it's like right now is the time to go for it because the division is more than winnable. You probably still are the best team in the division, even though your offense sucks. The NL is kind of wide open. I mean, you can say the Dodgers are the best team,
Mets.
or yeah, the Mets. But like, there's no team that like really scares me. I think if you can get another bat or two with the pitching you have, you're
Yeah, I
just as
mean
good as anyone. So like,
if the
go make
Brewers
moves
score
now and go all in.
yeah. To your point, how many more seasons are they going to be able to have these five pitchers?
Right.
I mean, this may be the last season. So if Council and Antanasio are going to make a move, I think this is the year to do it. They had their chance. I mean, we recorded that episode, and the next day Freddie Freeman got sold away. So you were right. We should have got him.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that was a pipe dream. Our owner is the cheapest guy in the world, so, um, geez, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, like, Luis Urias is going to come back, and he's a good ball player, utility type guy, but again, he's not that impact bat. You expect him to be productive, but he's not a game changer either. I mean, At least then you can cut Jace Peterson, who sucks. Um,
His batting
but
average
again, like
was like down to 0.52 or something
I
in
know
the
I was gonna say, is
beginning.
his batting average above 100
No,
yet?
I don't think so. I think he had a hit the other day and it almost doubled.
Jace Peterson. Oh yeah, he's at 158.
Oh, so he must have had
But
2 hits in the last like 3 games.
hey, in all defense, Jace Peterson isn't as bad as Lorenzo Kane, who's at 154. My gosh.
Yeah, but
That's
Jace was down
I
to
think he's the highest paid player
0.52.
still on the team, unless
Yelich is
Yelich's
by
contract actually
far.
might have gone up this year. So, but either way, Lorenzo Kane, now's the time to just cut him loose. I mean, you're gonna have to pay him regardless, but
Or
he's
trade
providing
him.
nothing.
But no one's gonna eat that contract. He's not
No,
tradable either. Unless you're giving him for like a really, really good, some cheap players or prospects. I don't think you're I mean, no one needs a guy like Kane.
no, yeah, no one needs a guy in a wheelchair who can't hit. So, and that's nothing against him being in a wheelchair. That's just he's old as can be. So,
And he's had
um,
500 calf strains.
yeah, I would bench him at this point, and I don't know, I, keep him on the bench. But again, I don't know.
You're almost at the point where you just want to cut him because
Yeah,
he doesn't do anything for you on the bench. He certainly isn't stepping in to be a hitter and not
no,
play outfield. So he's got no value. I mean, he can't even get a walk anymore. He used to at least be able to get on base with a few walks, but he's just, I don't know. He's at the end of his career. I'm not sure he cares anymore either. I mean, he's making
yeah.
great
I mean, this is
coin.
probably his last year. I mean, where can they improve? I mean, third base is obviously the spot, and
First
then you can
base.
use Luis Urias as utility guy. First base, I do like Telez, but he's not an impact
I think
game
I
changer
think if he
type.
starts performing decently, and he is performing decently, I think
Yeah,
he's a
he
good
is.
trade piece to someone else for a better first baseman. You
Yeah,
move Telez and a prospect or Telez and some cash for a better first baseman
right.
to a team that's struggling or needs the money or wants to rebuild. That's a good option for them.
Yeah. Oh, Oakland. I'm trying to think who they have. I'm sure they got a couple guys that they're willing to deal since they've gone in full rebuild. Cincinnati's kind of the same way. So, I mean, there's definitely teams that if the Brewers want to make a trade here within the next month or so, kind of get them early so they have them for a longer part of the season. Definitely teams that are willing to make some moves, probably. So,
Or find a
uh,
player that's underperforming to his true potential, like Willie was last year when they got him. That's really
yeah,
where they need to find value. I don't think the Brewers are going to be
yeah.
signing a big name bat who's performing well. They just can't afford it. I mean, they're not the Dodgers.
Maybe they could re-sign Ryan Braun.
That's what I suggested. Remember, I said bring him back out of retirement on a 1 year, $5 million deal and just have him stand there or be DH.
Just stand there and hope they walk and never. Uh, at least you can be worse than Lorenzo Kane.
That's
Probably would still
true.
be as banged up as
You
him,
can be
but
Jace Peterson, who is almost as
uh,
bad.
yeah,
I think the
I
Brewers
guess.
may have two of the worst starting players who start every game in the MLB.
I mean, I know the Brewers have one of the worst offenses. I think they're ranked 26th right now in baseball, but like offenses across baseball have been down to start the year. I don't know if they're doing some stuff differently with the baseballs this year in terms of how they prepare them for games and whatever. Um, so it's not like the Brewers are the only team struggling, but I don't know. They got to get going.
I foresee this as another. This is a classic Craig Counsell season where we either barely. No, it is. We either barely win the division, if by less than 10 games. I mean barely, and they get close to 100 wins, or barely eclipse 100 wins, which is a good season, no doubt about it. Or they wild card because either the Cubs or the Cardinals have a fantastic year and just blow the doors off, their projections. That's what's going to happen, and then they're going to get into the playoffs and they're going to lose to the World Series winning team and blow it, or one of their pitchers will put his arm through a locker and break his hand or whatever, and then blow the postseason for him.
He hasn't. Devin Williams really hasn't been the same
He
this year.
probably
I mean,
never will be.
he has some good at bats that he does well and whatever, with striking guys out and changeup looks good, and then other times He's walking guys left and right. So I don't know. They gotta get him going. I like Hader. I like Boxberger.
Well, I mean, Hader's the
Um,
best closer in
yeah,
by a
yeah, without a
mile. I mean,
doubt.
he's got. I think he has like 9 saves already.
I do like Ashby. I know they're using a 6-man rotation right now because spring training was short and things like that. And I mean, I like long term Ashby potentially as a starter, but this year I think he could really play a valuable role later in games as a reliever if he
I
can cut down on his walks. Like tonight, he started and had 6 strikeouts but 5 walks and like a 5 and a third inning. So he's really got to improve in that area if he wants to be a dominant reliever, maybe for this season before moving into potentially the rotation next year. But he could be a weapon out of the bullpen too.
yeah, I agree. I think the Brewers do their. They have their solid 3-man rotation, and then the other 2 games it's by
Yeah,
committee with a bunch of decent relievers.
Lauer's done a great job, though. I will say
He
he
had a really
maybe
good
turned a
start last
corner.
time.
Um, the Brewers pitching coach has done a phenomenal job. Really, the system in general with developing guys lately on the pitching side. So that's encouraging because they do have a guy, Ethan Small at AAA, who's their top pitching prospect behind Ashby, who definitely is probably going to get some starts this year too. So, um, yeah, pitching wise, they're in a good spot offensively. Definitely some room to improve there.
Yeah, yeah, they're kind of at where we expected them to be this year.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they can get any worse, so I'll say that. I mean,
Yeah, it's hard
obviously
to. It's
they
hard to.
could.
I mean, if they have a
But
major injury in the pitching staff, that would be one area, But that's
yeah,
that's unpredictable. But in terms of like just how they perform, yeah, it's hard to get worse when you have really consistent. When you have at least 3 really good starting pitchers.
right, right. So I think they're only going to get better as the season gets going farther in to the year, unless their offense just continues to hit close to probably 200. They got to be close to as a team, so they'll be fine.